Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Paul Ullman Jr., aka Big Buck. Um, I wanted to do this video for some time now. It involves somebody that interacted with Michael before. Of course, if people don't know what I'm talking about, um, which is Michael Jackson, of course. Um, This is an individual that I have spoken to from 2017 to all the way to 2019, which is about approximately 2 years. Although we never met in person, but I will say this: this person is a con artist, and that you should be very, very careful who you talk to. And this is a guy who made an allegation of Michael S.A.'d him. Um, his name is Michael Jacobshagen, and I'm going to break it down in this video of who he is and how he came into Michael Jackson's orbit, and I'm gonna break it all down for you.
Honestly, it's big.
I'm a broke boy, but I got big dreams. I'm a broke boy, but I got big dreams. I'm a broke boy, but I got big dreams. I may be a broke boy, but I got big dreams.
Yeah, as I stated this in the opening of the video, I have interacted with and spoke to online of Michael Jacobshagen. He's one of the at the time a child that had interacted with Michael, but he only interacted with Michael only once, and I think quite evidently. But when I started out, I didn't really know. I mean, people could say a lot of things. People could say a whole lot of things, and I quite have this, you know, this some type of consulary of some sorts. And I will say, with that regard, I mean, how I found out about him, like the rest of the world, I found out about him through, of course, newspapers and articles and stuff, and some stuff like that. And one of the articles, it has one of his alleged, handwriting of Michael Jackson and some stuff. And of course, I was intrigued, so I reached out to him. I will read. I will read one of the screenshots that I have. That I have of our conversation with him.
A few moments later.
Yeah, I'm gonna read the excerpts of at least some part of the message where I started off, for the context of, and giving you full context as I read. So I opened up with a message that said, "Hello," and he said, "Hello." I said, "So is it true what the media is saying about you?" And he responded, "Yes, the most. I met MJ the first time in 1995, so we get friends." I think he was trying to say become friends. I was 12 years old. Then I traveled with him from 1996 to 1997 worldwide on the history tour with my mother, and then all over years after I met him, constantly and stayed with him in contact with him until 2009. Okay. I have so much personal things from him. Also, all these notes from him from all over the years. Never before footage. I mean, I could show you, but I will plaster, I will plaster, the image as I, run along. But you can pause the video to read the first, the first concepts. And this message started on May 10th, 2017. And then he started acting all brand new on August 27th, 2017. That's where he started acting a little brand new. At the time, I didn't really catch that, but now with full transparency now, I would say this. Because I started with the message by the word hi. He said hi. I said, how are you? He said, very good. I said, that's great. He hits me with a softball question. Where do you know me from? I said, funny story. I saw in the blank. Basically what I stated. Sorry for the constant barking. And this was way before the Paul Alma show, by the way. Where I was gonna ask him for an interview and stuff like that, and he sent me the link to his now defunct website, which is now defunct. I mean, I could show you. Well, I don't know how good. Yeah, you can't really see. I don't know if you can really see that good. Yeah. I started with a message on January 11th, 2018. I said, hey man, Happy New Year's. He said, thank you, same for your. I said, that's fantastic. I'm doing my best to defend for Michael. And all this time, I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea. I'm just reiterating the concept of the whole conversation between Mr. Jacobshagen and myself. I said, what do you mean? No, he said, what do you mean? What do you want to know? I said, because I also want to know what happened to Mike. Because there's the articles was saying that he knew what happened to Michael. So I, subconsciously, went there and maybe just to call, ask him. And that's the thing. Because I also want to know what happened to Mike, and I want to help solve his death. And he said, word for word, he said, call me, I don't write here. Like, seriously, look, hold on. Yeah, exactly. He said that. Full real. I wish I was making this up. And I couldn't really call him right now because I was with family. He said, if you want to call me now, I can explain to you that better. I said, okay. And I guess he missed a call from me. And he ends up giving me these question marks. At this point, and then I said, I wanted to left what I picked up. I said, what you want to pick up? I said, yeah, you were telling me about the letters that Michael handed to you. He goes, where? What do you mean? I'm like, I can't take him serious. I said the letters that MJ was saying that don't let Sony sell ATV his catalog. He said, you find that letter somewhere in the internet? I said, yeah. You also wanted to explain it to you. Because what you want to know and why. For what? I said, do you want me to call you down? And he's all acting brand new. He was acting brand new. Okay. I said, yeah, you can also explain it too. And he said, why? What you want to know and why? For what? I said, do you want me to call you to explain it better? He said, listen, I don't know you. I have no idea which person you work. I was like, and this is going on back and forth. And he's telling me this back and forth. And then I was telling him about his website. It's a mess. It really was.
A few moments later.
You know, the cycle of that continued on, and of course, you know, I decided to leave it alone. And, you know, it was sporadic because I don't really know him. And then I started watching some videos of him getting exposed for scamming other fans of Michael by a German television show. And I was floored. So I'm like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, in 2019, you know, of course HBO releases the godforsaken mockumentary, you know, Leaving Neverland, you know, with Wade Robson and James Safechuck. I already talked about them in my podcast, The Paulman Show, how I felt about it. I'm gonna read you this the context of my message, and then the reason why I brought him up in towards Leaving Neverland, because there was an article that suggested that he was a victim of Michael Jackson. I was like, what? So, oh no. First he said that he was going to give me a 30-minute interview, and this is where things go sideways. He was asking how much do I want to pay him for the interview, and I was floored. I wish I could make this up, but it's blurry. I was like, he was asking me, and he said that he hung out with Michael in Hamburg in 1999. I responded to him, I said, I don't want any cash from you or anyone. I only want information about Michael. He goes, you ask me questions, that's why it's an interview, and normal, I get money for it. Huh? I'm like, okay, yeah. Now I get to the part. And then it ends up being on, I ended up asking him about, I was like, this wasn't one big misunderstandings, you know, all of that. And he's like, a big one. What some crazy fans say lies about me, it's not acceptable. I said, it's just that Wade and James had finally made a documentary that splat Michael's good name and legacy. And this is, he said this, I had nothing to do with them, and also not with these documentary. I said, I asked him point blank, I said, were you molested by Michael Jackson? He said this to me, and this was January of 2019, okay? He said, I say, there was never a sexual act with Michael Jackson. You can read it also in the newspaper. And the screenshots you will see is the same screenshots that you see in a documentary about Michael Jacobshagen, uploaded by Michael Jackson Innocent Project. And I want to thank Chantal. I can't really pronounce her last name. And I'm gonna make this video and reach out to her at some point. I want to say thank you for that. And yeah, I'm like, I really, 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 really appreciate it. And it's crazy that now he's saying, I saw him on fucking 60 something minutes or something like that, and I seen him saying, flipping the script, going, oh, you know, oh, Michael was touching all over me, kissing on my neck, whatever. I'm like, yo, what? Pause. Yo, what in the pig did he pause, bro? Just pause. Pause, bro. And I'm like, yo, what? Come on, man. Like, you can't make shit up. And, like, bro. And, you know, and this is what I want to talk about. And, thank you to everyone that speaks about Michael Jacobshagen. I uploaded this on an old Twitter account, and someone has said that he said that was not him. I was floored. I was really floored. Like, you gotta be serious. You're kidding with me. You're kidding. Like, I know his face. I've seen it. The thing is that here's the whole thing. Okay. He answered my video call. I seen his face, and I know I'm not delusional as hell, but I guess it is what it is. So sorry for if I'm like sporadic everywhere, because I'm trying not to think about it. But I just want to give you my 2 cents about this whole thing before we even get into this biopic. But I want to thank y'all for watching. Like, subscribe, and, you know, do the rest.
Thank y'all for watching the video. The videos that are, you know, new and hip. And thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on the social medias that is like under me. So and also don't forget to tune into my new music, you know, that's also under me, you know what I mean? So again, like and subscribe, and I try to post new content every other day. So thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you next time.